Now, every year, on the average, the country loses 1.2 meters of its shoreline. That's the revelation by a professor of tourism and hospitality management at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Mensah. Speaking at his inaugural lecture, Professor Mensah called for the establishment of a national beach authority to help deal with such developments that are affecting Ghana's tourism drive.
I must concede that government has put in place some interventions. At the Glefe stretch, they have constructed a sea wall using rocks. So that might help. But you see, generally, on the average, we are losing about 1.2 meters of the shoreline every year. So you calculate, in the next 10 years, all these places will be gone. Of course, there are also natural causes. It's not just human, but it is mainly anthropogenic. It is also about leadership, and it is also about the system of governance. So we've been operating with the 1992 Constitution all this while, 30 years. Isn't it time for us to pause and look at how best we can improve on our system of governance? Based on tourist area life cycle, the destination loses its appeal at the decline stage. So locals, developers, and tourists have descended heavily on the beach and stripped it of its former glory. Some of the beaches have become slums if you go to Glefe. However, the loss of our paradise cannot be entirely attributed to tourism. In fact, if you look at Butler's tourist area life cycle, he places the blame entirely on tourism. That is as a result of the intrusion of a lot of tourists into the destination, thereby leading to carrying capacity levels being exceeded. That is what will result in the decline of the destination. So we need to bring back the beach police to also enforce. The sand mining that goes on our beaches is quite alarming, and something drastic has to be done. I will also advocate for the establishment of a beach authority, just as we have the Forestry Commission, and they have helped us to protect some of our forests. We also need a beach authority, because legislation alone is not enough or sufficient. Effective implementation and enforcement and public awareness creation in the communities is also imperative. We need an authority to ensure compliance with the law and also for us to protect our beaches. Yes, you can say we have a coastal development authority, but really their mandate is not to protect the resource. Water Resources Commission, they are more interested in rivers and underground water. So we need a coastal or beach development authority. In other countries like Mauritius, Bahamas, Jamaica, they have beach authorities responsible for the protection of the beaches. I will also recommend that we take decisive steps in preventing further erosion of our beaches. Shoreline protection is imperative. I must commend government for building sea defense walls, but we should also earmark portions of our beaches for other beach nourishment programs. Beach nourishment involves, dumping sand on certain portions of the beach to widen the shoreline so that tourism activities can take place unabated.
We're joined by via Zoom by Professor Mensah to shed more light on this development that has the potential to mar our tourism sector. Prof, I'm grateful to you for joining us. You have identified the causes. What must we do? I mean, aside establishing the authority, we know that in Ghana, we're a country of beautiful laws. But when it comes to enforcement, implementation, that's where the problems are. So what exactly is needed to ensure that we're able to safeguard our shoreline?
Thank you very much. So I think basically I offered a number of recommendations in dealing with this particular issue. Obviously, we have to reinforce our beaches and prevent further erosion. But the solution doesn't only lie in the building of seawalls. We could also embark on other big.
All right, so we're talking about the fact that research indicates that every year Ghana loses about 1.2 meters of its shoreline, and that if care is not taken, it will distract our tourism sector. Now, what can we do to ensure that we safeguard the shorelines and to improve our tourism sector? Professor Ishmael is still with us here. Prof, you're making a point when the line went a little bad. Prof is someone who has done a research on what can be done to reverse the trend of losing our shoreline and to boost tourism in this country. He's sharing with us what needs to be done. He's proposing the establishment of an authority that will check, how things occur, or the development on our shoreline that really hamper our tourism industry. But we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll delve into this issue plus more. Welcome back. Now, we understand that every year Ghana loses about 1.2 meters of its shoreline, and that's a revelation by a professor of tourism and hospitality management at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Ishmael Mensah. He joins us via Zoom with some more on this. Prof, so you were making a point about what exactly can be done to salvage the situation. All right, Prof. We want to understand. I mean, your proposal is that we have to establish an authority to check some of these developments that are leading to these shoreline laws, as well as you propose that we should have, we should dump some sand on the shoreline so that we can reclaim some of these things for tourism attraction. And I'm asking, for the specifics, how we can really ensure that we stop this loss of our shoreline.
Yeah, so another solution, since these acts are perpetrated by the local community, it is also imperative that we embark on public education. If local people get to know about the importance of the resource and the benefits that they stand to gain from it, I believe that they would be willing to, contribute towards tourism development. So I would recommend strongly that we embark on aggressive public education, especially in the coastal communities, so as to bring the necessary awareness to the people. And
is it about awareness creation or allowing the law to work? I mean, enforcing the law, because I'm aware of what we've tried to do in the past 10 years. For example, in Cape Coast, that the radio stations there embarked on a drive to ensure that they sensitize the people on living on the shores, just to ensure that they do not win the sun. But that's something that keeps happening. So is it about public education or about ensuring that the laws are strictly enforced?
Yeah, so we have to adopt both the carrot and stick approach. You begin by educating the people. We don't have to assume that everybody understands the essence of our beaches and the importance of tourism. So we should begin with the awareness creation, the public education, after which, yes, some of our laws are very old. In fact, one of our earliest laws on the environment was the Beaches Obstruction Ordinance. And it was amended in as far back as 1951. You could tell that some of these laws have lost touch with reality. And there is the need for us to promulgate laws that will be relevant to our contemporary issues. So yes, we have to educate the people. We also have to come up with new laws on, protection of the beaches, which will make it a criminal activity for people to embark on sand winning. And then having laws alone is not enough. So there will be the need for an authority that will enforce the law. And that is where I am recommending that we establish a coastal or beach authority. If you go to other countries where their beach tourism is flourishing, places like Mauritius, Bath, Jamaica, they have beach authorities that enforce, the laws. So I believe that will help to a very large extent.
But it's not something we could probably model into the Coastal Development Authority as it is today, to ensure that probably there is a directorate which is solely responsible for ensuring that our beachfronts are protected?
Yes, I have looked at the law establishing the Coastal Development Authority, and I must tell you that there is no mention of tourism within the entire law. There's no mention of tourism. So I believe that the Coastal Development Authority is a special purpose, institution to bring about infrastructural development in the coastal communities. We need an authority that will protect the resource. And just as we have the Forestry Commission, the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission, and they have helped us to protect some of our forests, in the same vein, we also need a coastal or a beach authority to also help us protect our beaches.
Okay. All right. Let's see how this goes. But I'm grateful to you for joining us. Professor Ishmael Mensah. He is a professor in tourism management at the University of Cape Coast. Now,